Have you ever felt completely alone, even in a crowd? Maybe you go to work every day, exchange a few words with your colleagues, have a family or a group of friends to hang out with occasionally. Yet, when you're at home, or when you turn off your phone, you feel that emptiness. It's not sadness. It's something subtler, quieter, but much more piercing. And you know what? You're not alone in feeling this way. Male loneliness is one of the most widespread but least discussed challenges of our time. A study conducted by Harvard University discovered that 60% of men describe their lives as emotionally isolated. That means 6 out of 10 men, even if they seem to have it all, work, relationships, a social life, actually feel deeply alone. And here's the problem. No one talks about it. Since we were kids, we've been told to be strong, not to cry, to handle things on our own. These messages seep into our minds and grow with us until they become our truth. So when we feel alone, we shame ourselves. We think, I shouldn't feel this way. What's wrong with me? But stop for a moment and reflect. When you're hungry, you ask for food. When you're hurt, you seek a doctor. Why then, when you're alone, do you force yourself to suffer in silence? Loneliness is not just something you feel, it's something your body experiences. Did you know that scientists have discovered that chronic loneliness can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day? It can increase the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, and even shorten your lifespan. It's not just an emotional weight, it's a real threat to your health. And this happens because our brain is wired to connect with others. When you're alone, your body perceives a threat. It's like being an animal isolated from the pack. Your mind goes into alarm mode. This leads to stress, anxiety, and even depression. Loneliness, therefore, is not just sadness. It's a biological state that slowly consumes you. If you feel this way, I want to tell you something. It's not too late to change. You don't have to accept loneliness as a permanent condition. The good news is that there are actions you can take, small changes that can make a big difference in your life. But first, it's important to understand why men feel so alone. There are 3 main reasons. The first is the pressure of societal expectations. You've been raised with the idea that being a man means being independent, strong, and able to solve everything on your own. But this mindset, while it pushes you to do better, also pushes you away from others. It prevents you from asking for help, showing vulnerability, and building authentic connections. When facing difficulty, you don't always have to do it alone. Society has taught us to be self-sufficient, not to ask for help, and this makes us more vulnerable to loneliness. But being vulnerable is not a weakness, it's a strength. It may seem strange, but admitting that you need someone or that you're struggling is the first step toward change. The second reason why men feel lonely is the lack of positive role models. How many men do you know who openly talk about their emotions? How many admit to feeling lonely? The truth is, we live in a culture where showing vulnerability is seen as weakness. So loneliness becomes a taboo. And the sad reality is that without examples of men talking about their struggles, we feel inadequate to do so. We're convinced that the only way to be accepted is to wear a mask of strength and invulnerability. But that mask can become heavy to wear, and eventually it leaves you empty, with no place to truly be yourself. The third reason is the superficiality of modern relationships. Today, it's easy to exchange a like on Instagram or a message on WhatsApp for a real connection. But when was the last time you had a deep conversation, face to face, with someone? The truth is that technology has connected us, but at the same time it has separated us. Virtual relationships are easier, but they are not substitutes for the authentic connections you build by looking someone in the eye, listening with your heart, and not just with your ears. If you recognize yourself in any of these reasons, it's not too late to change things. Do you want to know how you can break free from this loneliness? You need to take concrete steps to begin building real connections. First, recognize the problem. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you feel lonely. In fact, it's the first step to changing things. Loneliness is not a failure. It's a natural part of life that everyone faces, sooner or later. When you recognize it, you stop fighting it and start looking for solutions. The second step is finding a safe space. Think of someone you truly trust, a friend, a family member, maybe a therapist. Open up, even just a little. Share what you feel. It's not easy, I know, but you'll be surprised at how liberating it can be. The third step is to cultivate authentic relationships. You don't need 1,000 friends, just one, as long as the connection is real. Start with small gestures. Invite a friend for coffee. Ask, "How are you?" and actually listen to the answer. Begin to seek opportunities for genuine sharing and listening. The relationships that matter are the ones you build with your heart. Finally, the fourth step is to join groups or communities. Whether it's a sports club, a photography course, or a support group, joining a community helps you build meaningful connections. Sometimes it's not even necessary to have something in common, just the desire to be there for others. When you're part of a community, you feel like you're not alone. You feel like you have a purpose, a shared mission, and when you feel part of something bigger than yourself, loneliness starts to fade. Imagine for a moment a life where you don't have to wear a mask anymore, where you can be yourself without fear of being judged, where you have someone to talk to share your joys and your struggles with. It's not an unattainable dream. It's a goal you can reach, step by step. Loneliness is not a sentence. It's just a signal that's asking you to make a change. Now I want to leave you with a question. What small step can you take today to start building those connections? Write it in the comments. Let's start this conversation together. If this video gave you something to think about, I encourage you to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't just talk about problems, we talk about solutions. We talk about how to become the best version of ourselves. Now it's your turn. Step outside, look for a connection, and remember, you're never truly alone, as long as you decide not to be.